both of you are elected, hypothetically, obviously. 4 years later, you determine whether or not you're going to run again. What are the personal standards against which you're going to look in the mirror and say, I was a success? And what do you quantify it later? I'm just wondering, if you're elected 4 years from now, what will be the standards against which you'll judge?
I think one thing that I've run the campaign on, areas that I've run the campaign on, is restoring trust in government. I believe that is a big deal right now. That there is a historic lack of trust in government. To measure it, I think it's getting buy-in from it's quantifiable. There's surveys studying. Pew Research does a study on it, and it said that trust in government's at a historic all-time low. So I think it's
so trust in government.
Trust is government, but that gets back to being everything transparent, above board, ethical, full disclosure. I think communication, getting out. I said it's important as governor to spend as much time outside the Capitol as you do inside, visiting each of the 36 counties, really getting out there, being seen, and people feeling that they have access to the governor's office.
Are there other indices, though, in terms of investment or unemployment numbers?
I thought he was talking about the ethics side. Yeah, get the employment, get Oregon's unemployment rate under the national unemployment rates. I mean, there's two goals. One is to get Oregon's unemployment rate, which has been above it for 14 consecutive years, which started in 1996, and the other is to reverse the trend of our per capita income, which has also been on the decline since 1996. And I've made the argument, I don't think this is by accident. I think it's the policies of the past 20 years that have put us in this position. We are now, I talk about the statistics about where we are in the state of Oregon today, that we're 42nd in employment, 43rd in education, that we're number one per capita in homelessness, number 2 in hunger. Those are not numbers to be proud of. But one of the ones that bothers me more than any other, scares me more than any other, is our per capita income, which has been on the decline in our state since 1996. We're now at 91% of the national per capita income. What the average Oregonian earns versus the average U.S. citizen is 91%. Anybody business home knows that if your revenues are at 90% and your expenditures are 100%, it doesn't work. And by the way, our neighbor to the north is at 106%. So to me, if you're asking me the things that I would like to see changes, unemployment rate below the national average, per capita income on the rise. We have to do that.
But if you're 97%,
well, on the rise comparatively. So it takes time to get down this low and to reverse that trend and start going opposite direction. It's something that's we have to. Our state has to, and that's why that's such an emphasis on.
Let me ask you the same question, but before you answer it, Chris's belief that the general trust in state, I don't know if it's state and all local government or state government, is just really low. Would you agree with that?
I think there's a general distrust of public institutions, governmental institutions in particular, not just in Oregon, but I think across the country. I do agree with that.
Okay, so the answer to the question.
Well, first of all, I would manage through this next legislative session without a partial meltdown. I think that's a key initial benchmark, that we realign our finances and our resources for the 2011-2013 biennium in a way that sets the floor for a thoughtful reinvestment strategy over the next 2 to 6 years. I think that's a key benchmark. At the end of 4 years, I think clearly we have to show some measurable decline in the achievement gap of kids coming into our schools. And I think you can begin to show that within 4 years. I think we need to show a measurable reduction in dropout rates. And I think we need to have a significant reemployment. I mean, significant reemployment on the energy efficiency front that I talked about, but also be developing a key biomass industry in rural Oregon. You know, one of the reasons that our unemployment rate has slipped is that when we were doing the high-tech expansion very successfully in the 90s, we were shedding timber jobs. And the industry was continuing to hold on to sort of an old economic paradigm. And those were really well-paying jobs. And I think we can begin to replace those. In fact, I don't think we can get our per capita income back up unless we figure out a way to resuscitate rural Oregon in the timber industry. So that would be a measurable component. We have to have the CRC under construction in a way that is not just a bridge, but seen as a regional transportation project. And the third one is that we will have had laid the groundwork and will be in the process of applying for broad federal waivers to use the new resources from the federal health care bill to actually focus on prevention and wellness and the community-based management of chronic illness.
Governor,